She read the word enabler. The next morning, Wendell woke her before 7 by pressing the voice button on the remote. Let me recommend. Let me recommend. She got up. She put his show on. She gave him the food Theodore had left. And on her way out, she stopped. She looked at him, and she said, clearly, quietly, clean this up before I get home. It was not a request delivered to a guest. It was a warning delivered to someone she had decided was no longer welcome. That decision had been made somewhere in the night, while she was lying in the dark, listening to a robotic voice loop in the next room. She texted Theodore that day, told him she needed to talk. Not about the dishes, about everything. Priya came home that afternoon to dirty dishes on the table again. She had expected it. She stood in the kitchen for a moment, and then she walked into the living room where Wendell was sitting. She asked him directly whether he expected her to clean up after him. He said yes. It is possible he didn't fully understand the question. His speech and comprehension had been affected by the stroke, but his tone was familiar. It was the tone of someone stating a fact they've never had reason to question. Priya told him that he may have spent his whole life with everyone around him, managed and manipulated, but that she wasn't going to be added to that list. And then she said the thing she had been carrying. She told him she knew who he was. She named it. Not with rage, but with the flat certainty of someone who has spent months tiptoeing around a word and finally decided to say it in full. She told him he was a rapist, a child rapist, an abusive father who had spent decades taking from the people closest to him and never once accounting for any of it. She told him this was his last day in her home. Then she left. She texted Theodore immediately. His first response was that he would never speak to her father that way. She replied that her father was not a child rapist. There was a pause before he responded again. In the days that followed, Priya did something that mattered more than the confrontation. She found a book, a resource written specifically for adult children navigating the illness and death of parents who had caused them serious harm. She ordered a copy, and she told Theodore she wanted to read it with him, not to push him toward a particular decision, not to issue an ultimatum, but because she understood, with more clarity than she'd allowed herself before, that Theodore was not choosing his father over her. He was trapped in the particular devastation of loving someone who had never deserved it, and not yet having the language to move through that. She also told Theodore clearly, in a conversation that she described as quiet and necessary, that Wendell would not be invited to their wedding if they married, that she would not be introducing any future children to him, that her home was no longer available to him. Theodore did not argue. He sat with it, and then he agreed. Sylvie Vance, Theodore's mother, was expected to create difficulty when the news reached her. Priya was prepared for that too. She had stopped organizing her decisions around other people's comfort. That particular habit had cost her enough,